iRacing.
Turn number one, trouble for Borowski, and they scatter. Carl made a massive chuck one to the inside. Three wide straight, going all the way back to Felix Gripignano.
Important for the AM category.
Elijah White, Kachow, he's got the plate. Goes Adekova. Carl made down Matt Hendel. So Adnan Montanic.
Go all the way down to the border of Virginia and North Carolina, and you'll find a hidden gem in the Old Dominion woods. VIR has become one of the premier North American racing circuits, and soon it'll become obvious why as we get ready to watch Round 5 of MX5 United, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. I am Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This legendary circuit is constantly upgraded by the owners, but to find out what it's like in its current state, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. Only a short trip away from the state's border with North Carolina, this track has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. After closing for a quarter century, once it was rebuilt, it quickly began to draw major sports car series to its halls. The new owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 5 versions are available on iRacing with a range between 1 and 4 miles in length between them. With that much pavement, the plethora of corners have earned some colorful nicknames. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, the climbing S's force you to thread the needle before spinning you out into the steep drop at South Bend. Then, of course, there's Oak Tree, which sadly no longer sees its namesake landmark on the inside of the turn, but still retains its frustrating difficulty. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery to get the most out of the lap. While passing can be tricky here, the long backstretch nicknamed Madison Avenue and the lengthy front stretch do tend to offer enough of a draft that you can still give a go at a pass. Still, track position is usually an important factor in most races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life. This is going to be a fun one because, yes, it is fast and maybe a bit oversized for these cars, but it's still a very technical circuit, Craig.
Yeah, this is really a driver's track and probably one of the driver's tracks in North America with a lot of opportunities to make up time and a lot of opportunities to make moves happen. Because you look at the way the track starts out with that horseshoe, nice long rundown for almost like a de facto line rock turn 1 with a lot of double apexing. And then you get into that technical section. Before you go to the snake, it is almost straight lining once you get past the first part. You can't really make moves there. You have to keep the car steady and use that weight balance. So the drivers will really look to just able to keep themselves alive through the hills, but it's that back straight. It's Madison Avenue that you will see the majority of the moves, similar to the real world when you see the Mazdas come down here, because that run up to the roller coaster at 14, well, it's roller coaster for a reason, Joe. It is an up and down. It's a thrill ride. And with these cars, as long as 2+ minute track, going to be a long thrill ride, but hey, strap on in. Anything's going to happen today.
Certainly could throw the drivers for a loop with the 2 races they're going to be running out here. Of course, we have a championship to worry about, so why don't we take a look at the pro standings with Adnan Grozdanik up at the top over Matt Kindle, about 45 points, so nearly half a win's worth ahead of second place at this stage. Jaume Delmay is sitting in third position with a pretty close fight there, 6 points only between 8 points rather between third and fourth position, with Koba just hovering behind. But then Milo in fifth position is only 4 points behind him. So could see a lot of swapping around, but it'll depend on who can have a consistent finish here today, since they do have that invert, and who can overcome that once we get to the feature race. Of course, they have an amateur championship as well. Craig, why don't we go through that?
Yeah, amateur championship looking very interesting. Jake Ratcliffe taking that lead. Interestingly, won both endurance races, but hasn't done well in the sprint. So this could be a little bit of a chance for Adrian Luino to really get some points in there. Braden Hope also right on the back, but after a penalty last week, did get the pole position, but had to take a few penalties, losing out time. Vincent van der Muurbrugge and Elijah White also in the battle. Lars Ulrich slowly there, but not the race he wanted last weekend, and the rest of the top 10. Just rounding out there with Diaz, Bernaf, and Marcher, with Pirro just tied there on the back of Marcher. So still a lot of time, still a lot of place at the back, but realistically, this is the day where if you can get the sprint race sorted, Ratcliffe might be able to make some damage on that lead.
Yeah, especially with how close that is. And remember, that is with overall position that you score. So those AMs will be motivated to try and fight with however high up the order they can get in this championship. As for today's format, why don't we take a look at our race details? Round 5 of 8. The sprint means that they'll have this 15-minute heat race to start it off, and then it is a 25-minute feature race, which inverts the top 10 finishers. Fixed setup in this series, so everybody's on the same footing going into it, which does make for interesting draft races in these cars. And they have a spare car waiting in pit lane if they need it. But since there are no scheduled pit stops, that means that the drivers will not want to have to take that spare car if they can help it. So we will head off to qualifying here in just a moment. I think they're just wrapping up practice at this stage. I don't think it's going to be a track where qualifying will be as important, but you certainly don't want to be mired too far down in the order there, Craig.
No, I think it is going to be vital for where you want to be in terms of battling the person you're fighting. But in terms of being at the front, we've seen the carnage the last few races on the opening lap, and that's just standard lap 1 racing. You're going to get carnage anywhere sometimes. So I think the drivers will be looking to play a little bit safe. Remember last week at Sebring, 4 wide going into turn 1. Can't really get that wide down here into the horseshoe because the track tightens up. So maybe see a 3 wide. But I think the drivers will want to keep it clean out there because they know how important it is now over the halfway stage of the championship to really get the points in now. I would say, Joe, I know there's 3 rounds to go after this. You could almost say today is moving day for the drivers.
That's a good way of putting it. Now, before we get some laps on the board here in qualifying, I do want to give a special shout out to Kirill from Wasabi Racing, which is one of the series sponsors. Apparently, this is both his home track and, of course, naturally, his favorite track. So a big heads up to him, and I'm sure he's excited to get to watch today's race. Hopefully, they'll put on a good show. Don't blame him. I've gotten to go here a lot recently in the past couple years, and I've definitely fallen more and more in love with this place the more that I've got to visit it in person. You can see a little bit of warming up of the tires for some of the drivers trying to get themselves some heat. It's only 66 Fahrenheit on the track surface, Craig, sorry. So it's going to take a bit to really get the temperatures with the proper heat in them.
I know we're both from the Southwest, but I'm pretty sure he's the more better voice here. But no, the heat's going to be important. But like I was saying, the heat isn't the big issue here today. It will be that weight transfer that this Mazda relies on. So as much as they need to make sure they get the heat in, if they get the heat transfer wrong, a bit too much throttle, they're going to be losing out on grip. And that's going to be very vital because you can see on Adrian Luino that there's no wings here. So hopefully, with no fingers out today, Adrian Luino will get everything all together. But yeah, you can just see they're having to rely on all the mechanical grip. And that's the big challenge around here, Joe, because look at those changes as comes down into the roller coaster. You've got to stop the car. And even there, look at the twitching. Very interesting. And some of these drivers, they drive with a formula rim. Some of them with the round rim. In fact, Henry Mackenzie Friesman driving with a round wheel for one of the first times this season on a Mazda. That's going to cause a lot of issues because look, Joe, that's a round wheel. In the sim, it doesn't matter what you use.
Exactly. Although, if you're going to be making corrections like that, I'm with you. I'd kind of want the round wheel. I've actually always raced with a round wheel on my sim rig, but I run a variety of different types of cars. As Adnan Grozdanek here on his first flying lap, I believe. In fact, most of the drivers are just starting those. Now, they only get 2 laps. And while this isn't a track that has a lot of paved runoff in places, you can still go just a little bit beyond in a couple spots. So I have to imagine trying to keep it within the limits will be important because you don't get too many tries. Is he not happy with this one, or is he just playing to the camera?
I think he's talking to his viewers on stream, but I think he's also having a little bit of fun as well. He's having just the enjoyment, and that little run up the snake here is enjoyable in any car, realistically. Then you get hard onto the brakes here for the South Bend, and now the oak tree. We wave to what used to be the oak tree on the right and say hello to Junior on the left as he comes around the corner. And this is one of the things that's really nice about the modern day VIR is you've got that massive runoff now on the exit of 12 down to the old straight. We're not using the grand layout today, but I think with this long straight would have been very interesting, Joe, just to see that, because it could have actually made a bit of difference on that track.
He's really having fun with his chat or something. They've got tunes going, or I don't know what, but I've never seen a driver quite this relaxed during qualifying as he comes down into the roller coaster. You talked about the ride that this is. Another thing that, getting to go here in person really drives home why it's called the roller coaster. This is actually a massive drop in elevation here, all the way down to Hog Pen. So you really have to get your timing right because the car is on a trajectory as it plunges down with gravity.
Yeah, they call it a mirrored down, scaled mirrored down to the corkscrew at Laguna. I don't see it, but he does dance his way to, well, a very good 206.530. It's not pole position. He's 2 tenths to fine away from Ade Koba. So there's Ade Koba for the 5-star racing as he looks to get some more time out there. Lars Fischer taking P2 and a stone face. We've just had the man that's been dancing around and having fun down Madison Avenue, Joe, as he comes through NASCAR. We've now got a man who's stone-faced. And just for those that don't know the story, it's called NASCAR because Richard Petty, David Pearson, Wendell Scott came here for a Grand Am race, could not drive the left-hander, which I think kind of funny, Joe. NASCAR drivers just turn left all the time.
Yeah, 3 of them all wound up in the barrier in the same weekend, and that's why it got dubbed NASCAR Bend. So it is kind of one of those unique stories to this, as we usually think of NASCAR 1, 2, 3, and 4 at a couple of rovals out there that we see sports car racing at from time to time. But Koba has been racing a long time here in the MX-5s and all kinds of sports cars here in the sim. Let's see if he can manage a second good lap, because he's only got about a tenth of a second over Lars Fischer right now. Both of them are probably going to be finding improvement on this second time by, so it will be critical that they make the most of the now well warmed up tires.
Yeah, they need to really use it now. 19 Celsius, 67 Fahrenheit, so it's a cold track as well. As we see Braden Hope, one of those AM battlers out there today. And, they're still in their little battle. You saw that there, trying to make the most of what he can. And, again, another driver using a round wheel. I must say, Joe, I don't know what I was using these things. It's been a while since I've driven one of these, but I've got one of each. And realistically, whatever works for me. Grozdanek, what will work for him? Ade Koba's going to come across the line as well. They're both looking good in terms of pace. One of them may get pole position. The other one, he's still got a smile on his face. What is going on, my guy? That's a good lap. Is this a good lap? It's not a good lap. It's, in fact, identical to what he said last time. Ade Koba improves, though.
Yeah, Adnan just maybe, it looks like 15,000 slower that second time by. I'm surprised that drivers are slower generally from what I'm seeing. Would have thought the tires needed a little bit more heating up. Oh, and the 91 has just taken the top spot. I was about to comment on how we saw Lars Fischer unable to take the second lap. Must have had an off track somewhere. And David Tarrant there in the number 7 needed that second lap because his first got deleted. It was critical because that bumped him up to third.
Yep, that bumped him up to third. Braden Hope Didn't really get anywhere with that. Corey Lander going to be one of the last guys to set a time. I think Adrian Luino letting us know that 2 invalid laps for him. He's going to be starting at the back. Lars Ulrich as well. In fact, nothing from Lars. He's going to be starting at the back as Corey Lander is going to be one of the last drivers to come across the line, set his time, and that will be all she wrote, I think, as David Taron with a very surprising P3 there, just out of nowhere. He just finds it at the last moment. A great lap time.
And if Adrian Luneau was hoping to put a challenge on Ratcliffe, he's not starting out well on this one, has failed to set a lap time, while Ratcliffe is our fastest in the AM category. So he's sitting in a very good position coming into the sprint race, but that could all change around as that race unfolds, because there's going to be a lot of pressure to perform. It looks like our grid is set, so I think it's time to go through today's starting order of the sprint race. Jaume Delmay will start on the pole. Ade Koba will be next to him. Then you've got David Taron in the 3rd position and Lars Fischer being bumped down to 4th late in the qualifying. Matt Kendall will start from 5th as Justin Hodge will be P6. Adnan Grozdanek will be only 7th today, and Michael Chase will be in 8th. Then it's Giuseppe Milo in the 9th spot, followed by Henry Friedman rounding out our top 10. Craig?
Yeah, well, we get to 11th, and Adrian Borowski will be in 11th with Per Sandberg after a good week. Last week will be in 12th. Javier Kane takes the unlucky 13th, and then Ollie Bailey, the number 1 car, not a good qualifying for him, in 14th. Charles Wolfe will be 15th, and as you were just saying, Jake Ratcliffe leads off the AMs in 16th. Philip Scrivanio will be in 17th with Braden Hope in 18th, followed by Elijah White in 19th. And to round out that top 20 with 5 to go, Diego Correlander.
From there, Victor Bernath will be starting in the 21st position, Bruno Lisboa in 22nd. Jorge Diaz will be P23. And as I mentioned, no times for both Adrian Luneau and Lars Ulrich in 24th and 25th. Going to have to try and charge from towards the back of the field. However, they will be having a full pace lap behind the safety car to get this one started, so they can try and prep those cars as best they can to get a good launch coming down to the first corner. It is always a little bit frantic into Horseshoe, Craig, because like you said, it's a long corner, but it also is a pretty long run. Even with the start-finish line being late in the straight, we see cars getting going pretty fast before they hit the brakes there.
Yeah, and also just remember that the straight has a little bit of a banana to it. So as well, with the way the car would just bounce and move around before you get to the horseshoe is interesting. But one thing DJ taught me is the horseshoe, it kind of crowns at the top there. So you think you can try and defend or go around the outside there, but it just never works for you. And of course, again, the elevation changes here. It doesn't look too bad here. But when you get to the runoff and if you overshoot the horseshoe, and there's a little bit of a dip there in the grass. So while it's not like China Beach at Mid-Ohio, which is where they're going to go later, you will find yourself losing a lot of time trying to climb back up that hill when you just miss it there. But then, thankfully, the track does just get a little bit flatter here. But yeah, that horseshoe will be imperative at the start of the race.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots where that happens at this track, and it's kind of deceiving. It sends you on quite a ride for a while off the circuit because of the downhill slope. The horseshoe is known for that. You've also got it happening at South Bend. If you go wide there, the track tends to very much fall away. And then the roller coaster also sees quite a bit of it, which is unfortunate because that is such a fast spot. If you go off there, you can pretty often find yourself going straight to the tires because you can't get the car slowed in time. Thankfully, I don't think these cars will be fast enough that they'll go quite that far, but it's still a problem if you don't mind your P's and Q's. But as we watch them go uphill through the climbing S's, this is one of those parts where it's going to be a little bit easier in these cars. You get the high downforce cars through there or some of the really high-powered vehicles. It is just a wild ride trying to thread the needle through that back and forth and over the crests.
And one thing we haven't talked about is the wind. Now, the wind I don't think is going to be too much of an effect in the sprint race. but maybe in the future we may get that wind to pop up. It's about, at the moment, you're looking about 10 kilometers an hour, so you're looking about 5, 6, 7, 8 miles an hour. It's northeast. Now, to give you an idea where north is on this track, north is basically you're going south when you go up the Snake. So in that respect, you've got Madison Avenue and you've got the Snake, two of the most important parts of the track where you're going to be getting a crosswind. And even the start line is going to have a little bit of a crosswind, and it will get to a northern wind, which will be right in your face and then against you on Madison Avenue. So that's going to be quite interesting. But again, remember, that means the start line is not pointing north. It will be a little bit of an issue there for the drivers. And with these cars, then when they start to move around to try and set something there, Joe, just a little gust of wind, it may just get them going and go a little bit more and a little bit more, and all of a sudden they're on the grass.
Yeah, I mean, the top drivers in this car are very much on the limit. They're light cars, and while there isn't aerodynamics, a stiff breeze could send them just a little bit over the edge. So cross some fingers that we don't see a driver blown off unexpectedly by that wind. It looks like we're now out of the roller coaster and into Hogpen, with Jaume leading the group up in the number 91. Can he run away? Can he break the slipstream quick enough to prevent a huge train start to follow him? Because there's 3 long slipstream areas that will affect how this race goes. But we'll see whether or not that is a factor as they are lined up and ready for the start here. And watching carefully, Jaume looks for the call from the green flag at the flag stand. There it finally is, as he starts to accelerate. Cars able to pop out of line now and try to position themselves down into the horseshoe. Who is going to be able to make a clean run? Already we're seeing some drivers fan out to almost 4 or 5 wide into here. My goodness, it is an absolute mess in the background. Somehow they're all facing the right way, and it is going to be the number 91 who leads Koba.
Yeah, Justin Hodge actually got forced a little bit wide there at the horseshoe. He's gone down 3 positions. I think there was another driver. We've got one spinner in the back. We've got a little bit of a wreck here. Adrian Borowski getting caught out with one of the spinners. I believe that was Javier Kane. Just trying to get a little bit there. So there goes Borowski in there. There's Javier Kane. I think just a little bit of that moment there. They were still trying to get to a single file. It did not work for them. Hodge already back up to 2. Jake Ratcliffe. Great start, up 4. Braden Hope, however, up 5. Adrian Luino from the back of the field, up 7.
Some impressive stuff at this stage for a few of the drivers, definitely making good on it. This can be a bit of a narrow track in places. They've widened it in recent years, and that has helped somewhat, but it's still a little bit better for cars this small compared to some of the bigger vehicles. Looks like we'll get another try at that long slipstream. This is perhaps the part that is most notorious for it, up Madison Avenue. Jaume is pulling along Koba and Tehran.
Yeah, and I wonder what we're going to see from Koba, because we know if it was Grozdanek would wait for a moment. As you can see, Koba's going to pull out. He's going to try and make the move. He's going to get a little bit of a bump bar from David Tehran. Tehran decides not to go for it, and look at Dalmaze. He wants to send this. Let's go 2x2 at the front of the field, down the roller coaster, and all that pressure that Koba just put on there. Dalmaze just looked at it and said, "No, I'm all right at the moment." So just using that advantage, but the bump draft was very crucial. A little bit of still trying to file in side by side behind. That's Grozdanek, who's had a real good start, but he's losing the slipstream. And that incident we were talking about, Borowski, I think Ratcliffe, I think Kane as well, and I think Sandberg, all getting noted for that incident. As Grozdanek, he almost got in another incident.
Oh, Kendall is going to be stuck in the middle, 3 wide, and down underneath, I think that was Lars Fischer, who somehow got involved in it from out of nowhere, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the track into NASCAR Bend. It's difficult to try and make a move stick out here, and he knows it. In fact, he goes all the way off into the dirt, and that's going to cost him potentially the position to Adnan.
I don't know. He may have just done a Richard Petty and gone off, but he's managed to hold on to this, and they're going to go side by side up the snake. Now, this is tough. We did see on lap 1, Adrian Louineau did make a move going up there. Just a car in the background there was Michael Chase. In fact, yeah, Grosdanek, he's a little bit out of position here, because if he lives to let him through, he lets Justin Hodge get through. So they're going to have to go side by side up the S. It's a small bump here. Look at the adjustments he's making. The concentration on his face. Gets it done before they get to the South Bend, but that could have been dicey. And right behind, Henry McHenry Friesman, he says, that's a spot I want to take. He gets involved, and you can just see that cost him a little bit of time. That's what you don't want to do, is go side by side up the snake.
Yeah, no more dance party for Adnan, which is ironic because now he's finally got dance partners. As we check out what happened to Borowski, disappearing behind the trees. Did look like there's a little bit of a tip, unfortunately sending one car around, and we saw massive damage on Adrian's nose, which is why he pulled off to the side of the track early on. So Koba back up to the top as Jaume is demoted once again into second. Teron sits in the third spot.
Yeah, and this time Koba did not get a draft, did not get a bump draft, buddy. He just decided that he would go for it on his own, and Dalmaze did look for the chance, but thought this time not really worth it. They could work together here, have a dance partner, and just move on. So very smart at the moment. Still 10 minutes to go, and this is going to be the shortest race that they will do in terms of laps all season, because you've got to think about that this is only going to be 7. If they're lucky, if they stretch it to 8, and that'll be a big stretch, but you only do 7 laps around here just with how long it is. Look at the times, 2:06, the fastest lap there. They do get a point for the fastest lap. They also get a point for a clean race. I'm not entirely sure we're going to see that today, because Grosdanek once again back on to Lars Fischer.
Yeah, 1 point for less than 3 incidents, and they even get 3 points if they have no incidents. That's going to be difficult in this closer racing around here. Kendall fighting hard for that spot as we take a little bit of a look here at another incident for Chase. What sent him off coming into the snake? Oh, I think he clipped the inside curb, it looked like.
Yeah, it looks like the car just got a little bit unsettled, and we talked about that mechanical grip needed here, and the way the car, you have to use the balance there. And I think with the moment you just clip that curb, you shift the weight a little bit there, that grip starts to go, and the rear just went, and it may have also just been a case of just wanting to get on the throttle, just loading up the rears a bit too much when the car was unsettled, and that was unfortunate. He's still in the race, but lost a lot of time there. He's down in 11th. Well, he's down now in 19th. He's lost 11 places overall. Now are we going to see a response here? We do see a response, because Koba, he wants it back again, and this is interesting because this feels like it's going to be a battle with chest, Joe, and do not be surprised if these are the same guys at the front on the penultimate lap. I would be surprised if any of them made an overtake. They'll be waiting for that last lap.
Yeah, if they're smart about it, I think they know that all it requires is a good run, but then it's going to get complicated because there's so many cars still in this train, and there's not a lot of time to try and separate them. I think you can go pretty much all the way back down to, it looks like Sandberg, still in the slipstream of the leaders. We're going to go wheel to wheel behind our top runners, 3 wide, in fact. Kendall still part of that once again. He's been in a couple 3 wide situations and goes round the outside and actually works beautifully at the horseshoe. Just about manages to get by Fischer.
Well, what a king without a crown. It's Matt Kendall. That's a fantastic move to around the outside, and I feel like Fischer kind of had his bluff called there, because that's not a move you see normally, but left to space as we're watching as well. The AM battle, Braden Hope as well in picture. He's battling against Charles Wolf, Jake Ratcliffe in front. Braden Hope has the fastest lap of the race, not just the category. The fastest lap of the race belongs to an amateur driver. That just goes to show exactly how fast they're pushing, and how the drivers at the front here in the main picture aren't really doing a lot at the moment, as it almost looks like Ade Koba, he almost bump drafted down Maze going up the snake, but that's Jake Ratcliffe, who is the leader of the Avs. He's got Braden Hope behind him in picture. Shout out to Adrian Louineau. 10 places made up in the sprint race.
I have been impressed with Adrian and the way that he's made up for it, for sure. As Hope just took the position, that's the AM lead over Ratcliffe. Not what he needs right now, because like you said, Luneau doing a good job getting back into this. Oh, they're actually going to bang doors. They're side drafting one another practically coming down Madison Avenue. You got to be careful because they can tangle. It is sim racing. Sometimes the internet can cause issues when you race a little bit too close and too hard with one another. Oh, as we got a car off, that is Tron, who finds himself taking a ride on the roller coaster.
Yeah, Tehran found it on the roller coaster. They were going side by side with Dalmaze, and I think what happened, Dalmaze tightened it up a little bit. Tehran ran onto the curb and just lost the car a little bit there, as he will go all the way down. He's had to recover that car, and not what he wants to do. Braden Hope taking over the AM lead. They're 2 seconds behind the main pack, which is this main pack at the moment. So they know they want to get a move on, because this is important, Joe. As the leaders start to fan out again, side by side, too wide into the horseshoe. This is the top 10, apart from Jake Ratcliffe. The winner of the AM would get this position right now, would get pole in the feature race. The man who comes second in the AMs would be 11th. This is a big deal right now for the AMs, and all of a sudden, with the way the leaders are battling and doing not much apart from trying to work out if they want to do line dancing or single file, this is going to help those AM drivers get up to the main pack.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. That suddenly changed the complexion of things because of Tehran's incident. It was for 11th before, but now suddenly it's going to go a little bit wild unless we have another car with an incident to promote them both up into that reverse. Matt Kendall, we ride on board with third place in this stream of cars, still going all the way down to Sandberg in the 9th spot. As you mentioned, who is going to pop out when they come down Madison Avenue this time? All of them just sliding the cars coming out of Oak Tree, trying to maximize their grip.
Yeah, and we look at Grozdanek, and Grozdanek, he won't do much. We look ahead, Matt Kendall. We don't know what Matt Kendall will do. It's going to be really interesting to see. Will he follow? We've got a mini serpentine going on. Kendall did follow, and I think he realized that if he just takes the bump draft, he can do it. Grozdanek's going to force this free wide. Grozdanek, that's a little bit brave, and in fact, he may have just forced the issue, because with him doing that, now he's side by side with Kendall down the roller coaster. The outside is staying the outside for Grozdanek, but it will get the inside for the hog pen. They're going to go side by side down the hog pen. Keep your eye out for Lars Fischer here. He's going to get the run, and he can't go free wide, so he's forced to bump draft Grozdanek. Not what he wants, and they're losing time right now.
Yeah, they cannot afford to lose to the 91 and the 34, who've got themselves about 0.6 of a second. Should still be able to bring in the cars if they work together, but they're not doing that down into turn one. Look at that said from Lars Fischer. I think maybe a little bit too deep. Grozdanek is able to get back up into P3, and he has cut it down to about 5/10, so he could still get back into that tow as we watch Ratcliffe still fighting. Oh, we saw suddenly a bit of a spin there, and we still see a little bit of smoke. Not sure what that was about.
Yeah, I think it was just a couple drivers having a moment, but look at this. These guys at the back of the top 10. The back of the top 10 are a little bit around now. Giuseppe Milo getting bumped now from Per Sandberg, and Justin Hodge right behind. And Hodge has made quite a nice recovery. He's still -3, but they're going to try and take the side-by-side going up the snake. And this is going to be tough. Milo takes to the inside, to the outside, to the inside, and around the outside one more time. They're still bumping. It's almost like touring cars out there at the moment. But as they come to South Bend, Milo gets it done. But have you seen the gap? That's a 4.5 second gap up ahead. To give you an idea of how big that gap is, and almost the same gap that unfortunately Scrivanio has now, as he had a 5-second penalty for that lap one incident.
Yeah, this helps out Ratcliffe and Hope then, because they could both potentially get into the top 10 as they've caught that group that have lost touch with the front, who are going to once again go wheel to wheel, not 3 wide this time. And that was a huge shove, though, from Adnan. Maybe getting a little bit rough. Oh, and the elbows are very much out. That's the second time this race we've seen a car just kind of shoved to the side lightly.
Yeah, and this is also just like we see in the real world. As this is Per Sandberg. This is the moment you were looking about. It was Hodge that had the spin. Hodge had a little bit of a slide, caught it though. Really nice catch, and Sandberg takes it. So that's why they lost a lot of time there to the rest, and it brought them in with that amateur battle. These guys now are ahead of them. In fact, the top 6 are now on their own, and who's going to make the move? Because I just looked at it, Joe. This is lap 7. And there's 2 minutes 6 left on the clock, 2 minutes 7 left on the clock. I don't see no white flag. They're going to have to go around one more time, I reckon.
Yep, they crossed with more than that 2 minutes 7 on the clock. So they get 2 laps left to go. And I guess we got an explanation then for why we lost a big group of cars. Now it is Friedman who is at the back of this group. Which of these 6 will wind up at the top spot? Because frankly, I think any of the 6 have a shot at the win.
The one thing I always say with Jake when we come to a slipstream track, no matter what the cars are of this pace and this type of format, is always look for the car that's third. Who's third at the moment? Grosdanek. And he hasn't even shown his hand yet. It's almost like he's at the poker table right now, and he's not shown his hand on the flush. He's waiting for the river. And it does feel like that this is what he's doing, because he hasn't really had to make a move. Apart from when he forced it 3 wide just to keep the momentum up, he hasn't done anything. And Dalmaze with a little bit of a slide at the front there, as you watch on board with Friedman. Friedman has to be careful here, because if he plays his cards right himself, he's in a chance. And just another penalty just coming in as well, the 91. Well, that is Dalmaze. That's Dalmaze. Now, that's a 5-second penalty added after for the feature. So that's only going to affect him afterwards. But the lead changed once again as Dalmaze retakes the lead, wants to try and do damage limitation.
Interesting. Curious what the incident was. I wonder if he was the one that made contact with Tyrone that sent him off. But regardless, the damage is done, and that could hurt his hopes of having a good point score there in the main race. Now, as we get a 3-car tandem, you got to be careful, 3 cars bumping, because that can sometimes wind up in tragedy. And they're allowing Kendall to close in, but he's not going to join the nose-to-tail run. There's a little contact between Koba and Grosdanek. They'll get away with it, but Adnan gets shoved out to the side as Koba is going to move into P2.
Yeah, and I think Grosdanek realizes, well, I say that, he just made the move straight there. Had to go for it because they were losing time, and Dalmaze is going to go side by side now with Koba as they come down into the left hook. And he needs a little bit of a left hook here to try and deliver a knockout blow. It's not worked for him, and Koba holds on to it. But they've lost the time. They've lost Friedman, and they've lost the time. In fact, Friedman's gone off. Yeah, big time issue there for Friedman. Did he have a spin?
He did. And it was all on his own. The car just would not hook up. Oh, and that caused an incident behind where, not watching it on screen right now, but I can report that, it was Ratcliffe, our AM leader in the points, has gone off and has fallen to 18th. We're still watching this battle up between the top, what is now 5 cars left since we have lost one. But, oh man, dire consequences for a couple drivers in this final lap of the race.
Got hooked. They were trying to get themselves sorted out going up the S's, and I think he got hooked by Ollie Bailey, the last season champion. This is the last time, and you can see it's just Grosdanek and Dalmaze has got this chance here, Joe. They're going to go side by side, and I do wonder, with the overspeed, I think Grosdanek has got it. I said to watch him. There's now a full car there, and I feel that Dalmaze is going to have to do this the hard way.
Remember, they've got some slipstream coming up to the finish line as well. Don't count out Koba as they go side by side. Grosdanek is going to have the nose ahead, while Jaume is going to have to find a way to try and cut back underneath out of the hog pen. Can he get the run? What's it going to look like? Adnan knows he's leading. He's got a smile on his face, but is it going to stay there as they come up to the line? It's going to be close. Jaume's got the run. He's almost there, and he's got a nose ahead. He is going to take the win. Dalmaze is going to be your victor in the sprint race.
The timings go 0.027, 0.087. And you see that Braden Hope, no, Adrian Luino, an incident at the end of the race. And Adrian Luino not only wins the amateurs, he's in P10. He is in P10 and he will get pole position. For the first time this season, an amateur driver is going to get pole position, and it all comes down to Charles Wolfe running in 10th, going wide as he comes out of the hog pen. Braden Hope has a little bit of a slide. Stefanio loses control, and Adrian Luino just says, thank you very much, merci beaucoup, and he gets that P10.
And what's wilder about that is Luneau was 15th when he took the white flag, and he was not leading the AM class. Suddenly, he's leading the AM class and takes 10th, and therefore the pole. Things changed in about 3 miles. That was unbelievable. Let's go through our finishing order for that heat race here. And you see that Jaume Dalmais is going to take the win by 0.03 of a second over Grosdanek. Koba comes home in third, and there was less than a tenth between those top three. Then it was Kendall in fourth, Lars Fischer P5. Milo was in your sixth position with Hodge, managing to come back with seventh after his almost spin. Sandberg was eighth, Friedman ninth, and our amateur Luneau is going to start on the pole from 10th.
What a surprise that is, but it means Braden Hope gets P2 in the amateurs, but he's in 11th, and then Ollie Bailey will go into 12th. Phillips Granillo, he does take 13th there with Charles Wolfe in 14th, and David Taron could not recover. He finishes in 15th. Diego Coriolander will be in 16th. Michael Chase couldn't recover. He falls to 17th. Elijah White will be 18th. And Jorge Diaz, 19th. Jake Ratcliffe, that recovery after that spin at the last lap, will be 20th.
And as we get to the final five, it was Lars Urish in 21st, Bruno Lisboa 22nd, and Victor Bernath was the last one to see the checkered flag. Borowski wound up 24th, and Kane 25th. They'll have to start from the back of the field in the feature race. I do believe we have Adnan with us, our second place finisher for the sprint race. Adnan, it looked a little bit tense there at the end. You had to accept second place. Did you think that you were safe coming out of Hogpen, or did you know that you were going to be in trouble losing that lead before the line?
I was hoping that I would not be in trouble, but it was pretty clear that it's going to be a close run to the line, and I don't know what the gap is actually, but I think it's pretty close. So congrats to Jaume for winning it, but I think he has a 5-second penalty actually, so maybe I won? Question mark?
Well, I was told that will be applied in the feature race, so at least that's the information I'm getting. We'll try and get it backed up. My question
Happy
is
with the P2.
Yeah, regardless, it's good points. This is my first time getting to call the series. I have to say, I've never seen someone dancing during their qualifying laps. Is that normal for you?
Is it normal? Maybe. Yeah, that was one guy from the community suggested a very good song, and it was in qualifying. So I enjoyed the moment with the music more than actually focusing on qualifying. I mean, I have 4 poles in the first 4 rounds, so this is round 5. I gotta give someone else the chance, right?
That's so generous of you. Well, I guess we've learned that you can't necessarily dance and race at the same time, but at least you've still got the speed out there. We'll see what you've got for us in the future.
See, watch me dancing in the second race.
All right, we'll keep an eye out.
Good to talk to you, Joe. Have a good one.
Thank you, Adnan Grosdanek, who finished second in the sprint. So there we got some of the answer there, Craig, on some of the strangeness of his qualifying lap, and also why he wasn't on pole.
Yeah, I must admit, that's not the sort of dancing I was doing earlier in the week, and I think I would have preferred doing dancing like that. My neck would actually like me, but sometimes you gotta have a bit of fun. Of course, it is a straight, and sometimes you just got to keep yourself a little bit calm out there and have that fun. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Maybe he does a dance afterwards, but it is nice we always like to see the driver's cameras, Joe, because that moment there as he came out of Hogpen, you called it yourself. He was just there thinking, I don't think so. And when you're at that level, you get that feeling when you come to a straight like that. And once again, the magistry, that is the front straight here at VIR, claims another victim.
So we've got a replay on what happened to Ratcliffe, because we talked about it, but we didn't actually see And this was through the snake. And I think that was an ambitious move from the car behind. Not sure who that is. Everybody knows you can't really get too wide through there unless you have some serious cooperation. And I know it was the last lap, but I wouldn't be surprised if that one merits a penalty of some sort.
Yeah, I don't know if it's being investigated. A lot of things being investigated. A couple of lap 8 incidents were definitely being investigated, and I mean a couple. The 5, the 1, and the 8, so it would be that one getting investigated. Nothing there. Also, a lap 8 incident, I believe, at the end there between the 00, the 19, and the 7, which is the 7's Taron, the 19 is I think it's one of the drivers. I think it was that last corner incident. Braden Hope, sorry, might have been one of those last corner incidents that we saw at the end. So they're getting investigated, and they will probably add the times on afterwards. But we have got one more race to go, Joe, and once again, we've got one full pace lap.
Absolutely. And so we get a chance to take a look at how that is with the reverse of the top 10 in the grid as well. And as you can see, Luneau is going to be starting up on the top spot. Just checking to see if we're going to be going through that grid, if we're just heading. Okay, we'll get that ready in just a moment. And in case you can't do the math yourself on who is winding up where on that grid. So drivers have some lessons to take, but it is 25 minutes for this one with Luneau starting on the front spot. Friedman will be in P2 next to him. Sandberg starting from third. And Justin Hodge, with that little mistake, finds a good chance to try and fight back from fourth. Milo will be P5 as Lars Fischer is in sixth. Matt Kendall in seventh. Koba will be in P8. And Grosdanik will have to try and charge from ninth, while Jaume Dalmais will round out your top 10.
Well, they did a good job the last time we had a feature, so we'll wait to see that. But Braden Hope, he'll be happy with P11 for the amateur. He will be in P2 for the amateurs, of course. Ollie Bailey will be in 12th with Philip Scavanio in 13th. And then Charles Wolfe will be 14th with David Taron. 15th, Diego Corilander will be 16th. Michael Chase, 17th, with Elijah White in 18th. Followed by Jorge Diaz and Jake Ratcliffe, rounding out the next row.
After that, Lars Orish will be in 21st. Bruno Lisboa in 22nd. And Victor Bernath, 23rd. Adrian Borowski starts 24th with Xavier Kane, having it all to do from 25th here today. As we've seen, it's very much possible to make moves. Luneau going from, I think it was either 24th or 25th up to 10th position in the race itself. You keep your nose clean, and apparently good results are on the cards.
Yeah, would have been 25th, but of course he actually did go for some qualifying laps, so it was 24th, and there he is. And one thing that's going to be interesting, I know the rules here are it's a green flag. You have to go on the green flag. You can't try and jump and make people worried here, but we're going to see a difference now, Joe, between what can a top-level driver do on the sim on a start compared to an amateur driver like Arian, because it doesn't sound like it will make a difference, but it makes a difference. If you're not prepared, the pressure is one thing, because pressure does get to anybody when they're leading a race, but also you just don't know what he's going to do for the braking. We could see a whole Constantina effect, or knowing Henry Mackenzie Friedman, some of these drivers may just swallow him up after the first few corners. We don't want to see that, but I think by the time we get to here on the first lap, he may be down in about 5th, 6th position. I don't want to curse them out. I don't want to talk bad, but look at the cars behind him, Joe. They have more iRating if you took them all and then divided it by the 9 of the drivers. They've got more combined on average than this one car.
Well, and on top of that, I think maybe a wise approach would be Adrian maybe just trying to keep the car in a safe position at the start of this race. He has a huge advantage over Ratcliffe, his championship rival, coming into this round. Ratcliffe is starting in 20th place. So even if Adrian gets passed by all 10 cars that would have started ahead of him if they had started on traditional starting order, he would still be 10 positions ahead of Ratcliffe if Jake does not overtake anybody. So I think Adrian's in a very good spot. There's no reason to throw this away.
No, keep it calm, keep it cool, keep it collective. And remember, you are in charge here, and you've just got to make sure that you don't do anything silly. And will he know it's on green flag? Because, no offense, these are the drivers that probably didn't expect to be on pole position for the feature, and that can also catch somebody out.
And, you know, I've seen that happen even in real life as well. Drivers that just aren't used to the rules of a series and things like that can sometimes make a few unfortunate mistakes on the starts and restarts. And so, of course, the drivers are going to have to make sure they know those rules to make the best of them. They wait patiently for the call from Barney, and they're holding him quite a while coming up to the finish line. There it finally is. As the green flag is out, Luneau gets a decent start. He's actually holding on to the lead here. He's not going to be overrun immediately. Sandberg gives a little bit of a bump initially, but then fans out into 4 wide for the front row. My goodness, Luneau's going to hold on to the top spot. Winds up in the lead coming out of Horseshoe behind them. We have one car going off into the grass, and that is actually Jaume.
Yeah, I think Dalmay's had a really bad start there. Not having the best of lines. He's trying to go as well. We've got another couple cars off as well. I think they're not really big names, but Dalmay's just wasn't even pushed off. It was just trying to find some space that never existed. And that crown we were talking about at the start there, just costing him lots. Fisher has had a moment as well out there as well.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, Fisher's down to 12th position, has lost 6 since the beginning of this race. They've already have a gap between 10th and 11th position at this stage. But watch out for Kendall, because he is up into 3rd position, and we know he was extremely fast before.
Yeah, extremely fast. Per Sandberg as well here as well. We did just see it. Grozdanek had a moment. One of those cars, I thought it was just somebody else. Didn't realize it was Adnan. He's all the way down the order. He's all the way down into 20th. He's in that mayhem at the back of this field. Everybody at the front is going there. This is going to be the interesting test, that they're all side by side, apart from Dalmay's going, trying to get a run there on Wolf. Is anyone going to try and go on Adrian there? It looks like he does not fight this, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He is all going side by side with Matt Kendall, who's made a fantastic start. But no, if I'm Luino right there, I'm keeping this safe. And I think he just played the right move there.
And we've got an interesting development in the AM Championship. Ratcliffe has been given a time penalty for causing a collision in the sprint race. So they considered him at fault for that contact. I'm a little bit surprised by that, but the stewards can see a whole lot more than we can. So they've considered him to be just a little bit too over the edge. Koba is up to 5th now in this front group, and a few drivers very much diving to the inside, trying to hurriedly make up time.
And Adrian just had to take evasive action there because he was not expecting Henry McKenzie, who almost got turned around there from Ade Koba, because, yeah, McKenzie was looking for a big move. We've also got that first lap incident there getting investigated as well. So a couple of things getting investigated from lap 1. Grozdanek as well, just trying to make some moves up here as well. In fact, Grozdanek's up into 14th position. That was the replay at the start of the race. He went off wide. That was the car I was looking at behind him that I was quite interested in. What does Henry do here, though, Joe? Because I don't like saying it, and this is not me being negative, but right now, Luino is the cork in the champagne bottle.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's running in that 3rd position. Kendall and Sandberg are starting to run away a little bit. But again, they've got names like Koba and Dalmais just behind him. I have a feeling that they're not going to be able to, that he's not going to be able to hold them back for very long. But you never know. It could be a frantic race out there, and he could maybe stay in this podium position as we watch him just adjust his glasses a little bit now that he gets a break down the long Madison Avenue. Behind him, that is Friedman taking a little bit of a peek, along with Koba and Dalmais going side by side into the roller coaster. And as they get single file behind them, it looks like Koba is going to fight hard, but unfortunately can't keep Jaume behind him.
Outside stays outside, so he could not do a lot there. Give credit here to Luino. He got back on using the slipstream, but a mistake coming out of the hog pen, that would be all she wrote. Now, this is going to be interesting because Koba is seeing this right now, and he can see Dalmaze is going to push for the same position and try and just use that hole that Friedman has done, and he's done it very well in front. A little bit of a move. They're going to go free wide almost, de facto free wide into the horseshoe. Luino's going to fight this as hard as he can, but unfortunately, when you're on the outside there of the horseshoe, it's tough. He's giving a real good battle. In fact, I'll tell you what, I said that. Peru now into NASCAR. He's got the inside. Gonna try and keep this together, and he's actually fought with Dalmaze. That's a 9K driver he's just put his elbows out on. Well done, boy.
Yeah, I love that. Just don't let anybody intimidate you based on only their reputation. Koba Lopez, though, he finds himself down to 8th as he went a little bit off there coming into the snake. So after all that hard work climbing up this order, he gets shuffled to the rear of this group. In fact, they're thinking about 3 wide behind him. Koba is able to get that single file. It looks like Fisher and Milo are going to have to get this sorted out, but oh, Fisher goes off course.
Fisher goes off course. Is he going to get back on safely? In fact, he does. And I'll tell you what happened there. Everyone's checking up now because he's trying to fight it. Fisher ran too much curb. I think it was at 8 or maybe in 8 or 9, but at the end part of the snake there, the S's, just went a little bit too much on the curb and the car just got unsettled. And he tried to turn it into right, but the car was already gone. Unfortunate for him. And that's the way it worked. Braden Hope, he's going to go side by side with Javier Kane. And look at this right now. You're seeing everything going on. You're seeing amateurs, mixing it up with the pros. Friedman did get past Louis. No, this is Braden Hope still going on. And yeah, this is interesting. The way that the first race finished, you've got this interesting mix right now, Joe. And it is producing a lot of interesting moments out there.
Yeah, Braden Hope positioned second out of the AMs at this stage, but way, way behind Luneau, who is doing an admirable job up at the front. Meanwhile, Jake Ratcliffe, with the sword of Damocles hangs over his head, is only 16th, looking for 15th with his fellow AM driver, but unfortunately will be given a time penalty at the end of this race. As it stands right now, the two of them will go wheel to wheel through the horseshoe, and Hope will hold on to that 15th spot.
And that's important 15th spot as well when you look at where Jake is. Jake's only been able to go up 4 places. Oh, Louis knows going down the order as well. I just saw that. Not the best run for him, but he's still fine. In terms of the championship, don't panic too much right now. He's doing as good as he can, even though he's had that moment. But he does have Ade Koba right there. But yeah, he's trying to keep it clear. Matt Kendall in the lead, up 6 places. We go through the fire in the frames and the grill. And Per Sandberg right behind as well. And this is the sort of race now, with the fact that everyone's fighting at the back, this is a good chance for drivers like this to really make up some points in the championship.
Sandberg's nose continuing to close in on Kendall, showing a little bit of damage, which can be a problem in these cars. You need them to be nice and clean and aerodynamically smooth on these long straights because they just don't have the power to push through any of the air resistance. So Sandberg catches back up. Friedman will get a double toe from both of them, and it's a triple toe for Jaume in the 91.
Triple toe. He's not going to use it. In fact, it's going to be Friedman who's going to use it. He gets through on Sandberg and slows it down so he doesn't go into the back of his fellow teammate there, Matt Kendall. I know they're 2 different colors, but you can see the same stripes they got. So they're going to be working together. Now, well, you would hope they work together because I think they realize Dalmaze is catching. In fact, he's there, right behind, going side by side with Sandberg. So you've got to feel that, yeah, you're battling for points, you're battling for championships, but when you know the caliber of driver coming up behind, you've got some of the best Mazda drivers on the service right behind you. You kind of want to work together here because I think 2 heads are going to be better than 1 when you come to the end of the race.
And I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen Jaume be a little bit more aggressive here because he can't afford to sit back and let this race come to him. He's got that penalty himself, remember. He needs a 5-second gap if he wants to take the victory. Adnan, in the meantime, also has to be aggressive. He's still made it back only to 8th spot. That is a long ways up from where he was before, but he's about 2-3 seconds, it looks like, off the lead with a lot of cars between he and the leader. He is dancing, though. He's still having a good time.
He's having a wonderful time, but I don't think he needs a P8 in the championship. Kind of would like to get a few more points here, but good recovery. And now we're at 15 minutes, so we're at sprint race territory right now. So we know there's going to be at least 7 laps to go. It doesn't sound a lot, but trust me, it is. But he needs to try and catch up to this man, Dalmaze, who's trying to get ahead of the 2 drivers ahead. And I do wonder, what does he have to work with here, does Dalmaze? He's going to have to do this on pace and raw pace alone. Friedman, Kendall, they'll be working together. Friedman has a feature race victory, and there you go. The top 2, they're bump drafting. They know the situation. 2 heads are better than 1, and they're going to try and work this together. But Dalmaze is going to have to do a double, and he cannot make it. In fact, he forced Friedman a little bit too wide. They come together.
Oh, I worried that was going to happen. They both keep going, but with quite a bit of damage on the cars after that contact. Both of them sent far back down into the order. Although I say that, Friedman somehow comes back out in second out of all the insanity through those corners. We've seen some interesting calls from the stewards. What are they going to say about that one?
Well, that's all being investigated, but it's interesting because it's all 3 of them. And I do wonder, you've got to feel that that's Friedman. He just really lost control of the car and came back unsafely. To give context, unsafe rejoin. Dalmaze was given one at the last sprint race. It is being investigated. 20 seconds was the penalty for an unsafe rejoin. I feel that if the stewards are going to keep with consistency, that's going to be a big-time penalty for Friedman.
Tell you what, Sandberg was deep down into turn 1, just about took it away from Friedman. Couldn't manage to get by, but Friedman is not the one that they want to be at the top of this group at this stage. He's got to have at least a little damage on that nose after that coming together. Koba, how much damage does he have? Or no, excuse me, it was Jaume that made the contact. He's gone back to 9th place, it looks like. This is Koba, now just behind Hodges, Bailey, and Grosdanik. And they're going to once again risk going too wide through the climbing S's. They're given just enough space. But Adnan, he's now up to 4th place. What a run up the field.
In just a short time after that lap 1 incident. Fantastic move, and Dalmaze is a man possessed. And he almost is trying to make 2 moves, and he's gone off. And I think Dalmaze is seeing red at the moment as he's unfortunately gone around. There he is. He tried to make a move going into 11 at Oak Tree and then at 12 at Oak Tree, and that does not work. What does David Taron do? He's going to push Ade Kobe here with Giuseppe Milo beside him, and they can't fight right now. They're losing the top 5, and that's just what you don't want to do. By the way, just an update on our pole sitter, Luino. Not gone well for him. He is still leading the AMs as we're watching Borowski get his elbows out after that lap 1 incident. But unfortunately for Luino, lost a lot of time out there, and he's back in a battle for the AMs.
Yeah, checking to see. It looks like Hope is, not too far behind him at this stage. So, unfortunately for him, he's going to have some trouble after it started so promisingly for him. But, you could see that Koba, as we watched his onboard, gesturing and had some words about the incident that he watched in front of him and the spinning Jaume Dalmaze, unfortunately, going off track at the Oak Tree. In the meantime, Xavier Kane from 25th up to 11th in that number 83. Maybe 12th, though, as it looks like Fisher just goes right back by. We've got a replay. Let's take a look here. And this is Friedman. I mean, that to me is all on Friedman. Just, I don't think he got bumped, did he?
No, I think it was just the fact they were trying to give a little bit of space, and I think that the car just went with him. Mind you, looking at that, I don't know. I was saying, I have to retract my talk about saying it was an unsafe rejoin. I wouldn't call that an unsafe rejoin. I would call that a car out of control.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be as harsh of a penalty. However, if I'm in that steward's room, unfortunately for Friedman, and I think he'd put his hand up as well, you've got to look at handing a penalty out for that. And to give it a context, if that is a 5-second penalty, in fact, one incident has been given out already for another incident, the 83 of Javier Kane. Lap 5, he had an incident. He gets a 5-second penalty. We were just looking, but Friedman, if it was 5 seconds, that would put him down into 13th or 12th position right now. So yeah, he's looking for a bit of help right now.
Wow. So Kane, after all that hard work, finds some of it lost once again after drivers getting a little bit messy in this one. Here's Koba coming down into the roller coaster. He still sits in 8th, but he's about 3.3 seconds off the lead. That's a decent gap to try and make up. You can see there is about a second and a half from Toron up to Sandberg, and to make that leap will take some serious speed.
But if they work together, they might be able to do something. So we'll wait to see. Javier Kane, not the race he would like to see. He's trying to do his best to make a recovery drive. In fact, he was the hard charger with plus 14 until Fisher overtook him. It's now Borowski who's plus 14 himself. But if we see Lars Fisher trying to go around the outside here of Horseshoe, not working. So that's not going to help. And Javier Kane trying to get on the grass. The drivers, you can't run the curves here, Joe. But time and time again, you need the mechanical grip. And if you go on the curb here, it's not going to help you. And I can report Dalmays has retired the car. He's decided it's not going to happen for him today. I think he had another incident out there. And yeah, he was at the back of the field. He decided to just park the car and hit the old F4. Adrian Louinho still battling. He's had to battle all day in the sprint, in the feature race today. And this is not where he wanted to be. I did not expect him to be battling for the amateur battle this soon in the feature race.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised as well. And that was Braden Hope who was battling with him. But now Ratcliffe has taken that spot. But remember, he has a time penalty. So he's not only got to get by Adrian, he's got to make room between he and that orange car very quickly. The Frenchman knows he's got an advantage here. If he can even just stay close behind Jake, he'll still get at least that spot back. By the way, Friedman did get a penalty, 10 seconds. That will put him all the way down to 16th or so.
And now the question is it the right sort of penalty? It's going to be interesting to talk about. Grosdanic has to do double, and he has to do double, and he's done the double! He knew how important that was. That's what caught off Dalmays. That's what caused the whole incident with Dalmays. The only way you could make that move is to do both of them. And he's just done that with little effort. In fact, is he going to do a song and dance? Let's just see. Is he going to do a song and dance about? Nope, no music playing. He gets to breathe. But yeah, for Friedman, it's a penalty all day long. And I think really the penalty, does it justify the crime? I think you've got to say yes. Kendall will have to fight this for his team.
Man, I think Adnan was down at 15th or so by the time we saw him after his opening incident, up back to first. And roughly 21st, we're hearing, in about 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes, he was able to do that. Meanwhile, side by side between Friedman and Bailey. Oh, Bailey unfortunately spins out. And I don't think he needed to take that big of a risk because he was going to get the spot from Friedman regardless.
Yeah, and that wasn't contact. It was just all on him. And yeah, just the car was already sliding. And just as they hit NASCAR, the rear tire just hit the curb, just went up a little bit. So unfortunately, all that work, look at him. He's right behind this battle right now. Michael Chase has to serve a slowdown. So Braden should get this done. They will try to fight this, but nope, Chase has got this sorted, but he'll have to slot right back in as they go through. I'm surprised, Joe, the amount of spinners today. The drivers knew what to expect, but again, this is a driver's track, and so it has caught some of the drivers out here. In fact, Charles Wolfe going to go side by side with Felix Gujanio, who, remember, has that 5-second penalty. Another penalty being involved here as well. Then 106 is also having a 5-second penalty. That is Victor Bernaf at the back of the field. And also Friedman and the number 1, that was Friedman and Bailey. I'm surprised they're looking at that, but that's also being looked at.
So Grosdanic continues to lead Kendall, pushing him along, but there's still a huge train of cars and you could say all the way down to Lars Fischer in 11th, all have a shot at potentially stealing the win, although some of these drivers do have penalties. Lars Ulrich getting a shove in the 12, winds up facing sideways at the side of the track.
Caught out by the roller coaster. Mark another one out there for the roller coaster as well. Some of the drivers asking about the Ratcliffe penalty. Yeah, and the Ratcliffe penalty was for the sprint race incident. Some of these drivers have incidents still being looked at from the sprint race and some from the feature race as those moments go. Justin Hodge, a good drive here from Justin Hodge, manages to make it stick, but he's a net 0 for the race, which this is very interesting. David Taron goes up to +10 for the day. This is the sort of driver that probably you see a net 0 at the front of the field of a inverted grid here, Joe, and you think, well, that's good, but this is what, hang on, Bailey's gone round again. Oh, and that's the sort of driver you expected to see making the climbs up here. Not making the climbs, but Justin Hodge, he hasn't had to make climbs here. Grodanic still keeps that lead.
The reigning champ took a toe on that one. Maybe decided that he's done enough damage for the day and just has parked it. Adnan leads the way as Kendall follows behind, but I get the sense that Matt is just biding his time. He's waiting for that last lap to make the move. And as we've seen, you can wait all the way until out of hog pen to try and make that overtake. Granted, you got to figure out how to be in P2 by that point.
And I wonder if that's what he's thinking about right now. I don't think that is. We know, yeah, he's just thinking about what to say to somebody. But yeah, this is the sort of thing that you have to start thinking about. And he's been in the position before, so he wants to make sure he's got this sorted this time. And as much as, I say that, Justin Hodge almost made a move onto Friedman there. I wonder, with Friedman serving a 10-second penalty, would it be wise for Kendall to let Friedman go ahead and let him duke it out there for the lead? Because it's going to be interesting. And I've just seen the timing tower. Ratcliffe goes up into the lead of the AMs, and Adrian Luino is down into 14th, third overall for the amateurs. I feel like the pressure may have got to the Frenchman because he did give some clean space, but some of the drivers were pushing him a little bit. It was elbows out, and unfortunately, it has cost him.
Now, Braden Hope technically should be our leader if it finished as is, although he's going to continue to challenge Ratcliffe and goes around the outside, coming down into turn 1. Again, you got to remember those penalties. You don't necessarily have to fight too hard. That car in front of you is going to wind up behind. Even more so, I think, needs to watch out for Luneau in behind him, although they're being followed by Chase, and Chase is going to get to the inside of Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe gives him just enough room down at the apex of NASCAR as well as left hook. So Chase has now moved himself up into 13th, but he is a pro car.
Yep, and he's got every right to make this fight, and he also knows what he's getting involved in, but he's trying to just run his own race right now, trying to get some points out there, like Friedman still trying to get some points. To give an idea right now, that 10-second gap at the moment, if Friedman got the 10 seconds, he'd be down in 11, just ahead of this amateur battle we were just looking at. So really interesting just to see what happened. The AM battle was also getting interesting. Sir Sambo's gone around as well, just at the exit there of the oak tree. Adrian Luino has really, right behind them, tried to get elbows out on the amateur drivers at the moment. There he is. But Sandberg going around. Let's get this replay of what happened. And I think this is more concertina effect. In fact, once again, Joe, catching too much of the curb, losing the rear, and then just a tap to go around. I think it will be noted, but he was already sliding.
Yeah. He was already on his way off the course, unfortunately, and the other car just kind of helped seal the deal. Now, we get the white flag this time by, and we still have a group up at the front of 7 cars, down to Giuseppe Milo at the back of that front cluster. Which of them is in the best position? If you had to put some money on them, who would you choose, Craig?
Grosdanek, because I feel Grosdanek has learned from the last race what to do. Mind you, Justin Hodge could be a sleeper here. But I do feel that if the guys if the guys who raced with Duncan, the Dunkosaurus cars, if they were playing smart, they would have let Friedman go ahead. But I think Henry has resigned himself to the fact that he's not fast enough. He's going to let Kendall go for this battle. But Justin Hodge would love to get back, because they will get the positions after the penalties are in fact in place. But you kind of want to be fighting for the positions ahead of the car that's got the battle. And at the moment, Friedman really holding him up. Koba, not the best race for him at the moment. He's looking to get some positions. They really need to get ahead here of Friedman if they want to get anything here. I would think right now, Friedman, get your shades on, get your sunglasses on, Joe. I think he is the wingman.
Yeah, because he knows he's not going to take the win, although he'll still probably want to try and finish as high up as he can in comparison to these cars, as Grosdanek is going to lead them out of Oak Tree. Now, will he allow Kendall by, or is he going to continue to try to hold that track position? Will Kendall even try to get by, or does he maybe want to try and sit? A little shake of the head from Adnan as he sees him approaching, and Kendall is going to try and go for the move. Is this the wrong choice, though? Is Adnan allowing this to happen?
I think he is. Friedman's going to give the bump. He's going to give the bump to his teammate and say sayonara. But Grosdanek goes deep into the brakes here for the roller coaster. And if they go side by side, this is dangerous. And they're mixing it up here, Joe. I feel this is the wrong move by both drivers. They needed the slipstream.
Oh, Kendall's going to get ahead. I think he allowed him through. He just needs the exit off the corner. But now they've got 3 cars behind them that also have the pull. I don't know if it's going to work, though. Aiden is too far back. Kendall is going to have the speed, and he's got the distance. He is going to wind up taking the feature win here at VIR.
He takes the feature race, and Justin Hodge with a valuable P3. That's going to help. Let's get back to the amateur battle, because you see Jake Ratcliffe holds on because Braden Hope has to have a black flag. In fact, Braden Hope, he did not serve his black flag. He will get a 46-second penalty. That put Adrian Luino P2 in the amateurs.
Wow. Real drama right at the end. And that means I believe that Luno should be your amateur winner because of Ratcliffe's penalty. Utterly bizarre end to this one. I don't think even Adrian expected it to wind up that way. And what a roller coaster of emotions he had to have experienced in this race. Lars Orish getting a 19th position now that Braden continues to see himself fall down the order there at the end.
Yeah, Ulrich will just come by. The sun is rising in Australia as the moon starts rising here in Europe. But what a race. And those penalties changed everything. By the way, you'll see on the timing tower, a lot of drivers where the gap is less than a tenth of a second. Real close battles at the end of that race.
Wow. So that takes us to the end of the feature and the results, with Kendall your victor. Grosdanek was second, Hodge third. Friedman still needs the penalty applied, so this is unofficial with the 4th place. Koba was 5th, and Tron managed to get back up to 7th. What a run. Giuseppe Milo was in 7th, then Lars Fischer 8th, Adrian Borowski in 9th. Xavier Kane also will need a penalty, but was scored 10th.
Yeah, and I think that would put Friedman into 10th after penalties, but Per Sandberg will be 11th, followed by Michael Chase in 12th. Jake Ratcliffe does win the AMS, but he does have that penalty to serve, so he will be giving it to Adrian Luino, who finishes on 14th, with Elijah White in 15th. Felix Gananio will be in 16th, with Charles Wolfe down in 17th, Jorge Diaz 18th. Lars Ulrich, we just saw, was 19th. Diego Corilander will finish 20th.
And from there, Braden Hope's penalty wound up sending him to 21st. Ollie Bailey, 22nd. Victor Bernath, 23rd. Jaume at DNF, along with Bruno at the tail end of the field. And it looks like we've got our winner ready to chat with us, Matt Kendall. Matt, you know, there's a lot of talk between Craig and I at the end. Where you want to place your car? Where do you want to be? We thought that you wouldn't want to be the leader coming out of Hogpen, but that's exactly what you did, and you still got the win.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that worked. Yeah, and then caught the curb on the inside fog pen, and we managed to keep the run there.
Seemed just as speechless as we were about that one. But I mean, how do you approach a race like this with those opportunities at the end of the lap? There was, something like 7 cars in that group? That seems like a lot to try and juggle and figure out where to place yourself.
Well, as I see it, you kind of have two options. You either settle in and push and hope that no one gets a run, or you take your life in your hands and try and make a move. With the run I had onto the straight, I thought it was one of the second options, and luckily I was proven right in that one. But it could have quite easily gone the other way. So with that many cars, you can get freight trained very easily.
And you'll probably need to take those lessons off to Bathurst. How do you feel about tackling the mountain?
Not great. The last time I was there, I was quite slow. So in this car, it's going to be another one of those taking what you can get races and just being consistent.
Well, best of luck there, but for now, congratulations and savor the victory.
I will. Thank you very much.
Matt Kendall, your winner, just ahead of Adnan Grozdenik. I believe that Craig has caught up to him.
Yeah, Adnan, P2 looks good. But what could have been out there today? And we were talking about the options on that final lap. And was it the battling into the roller coaster that cost you there?
You're talking about the second race, right?
Yes.
It was. I mean, you don't have a. It's not good leading the race on the last lap for the back straight. If you're in the back straight. So the slipstream power is really, really powerful in the MX5. And I also told the stream, like, I don't think I'm going to win it, but I'm also not going to play games to make a kind of like a fake mistake to let Matt in front. I mean, he knows these games. If I would have done that, the whole field would be closer. So I took it like a 50-50 chance. So congrats to Matt for winning it.
Well, to get the 50-50 chance, you had to be there. And after the first lap, you were 21st position after the first corner. How do you make that sort of recovery drive?
Good tunes by the community, actually. Having good vibes. Look, it's the MX5. If you have the racecraft and you know how to deal with the slipstream and how to manage traffic wisely, overtaking where it makes sense and not overtaking where it does not make sense for your perspective. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it definitely helps. I've had also a bit of luck with people spinning and not making the corners, so I did not really overtake everyone. But yeah, there were some really good moves.
Before we let you go, of course, next week, it's Bathurst, it's an endurance. Tell me, how do you make a 36% fuel tank work on a one-stop penalty around a track where there's only really 2 straights?
If I tell you that you're going to win the next race...
Oh, we're not driving. You don't have to worry about us.
Yeah, some lift and coast action. Lift and coast action in the heavy braking zones. Also, if you just stay in the slipstream, that definitely makes sense. And I'm really looking forward to Bathurst. Might be controversial. I don't really like the track. However, it's a legendary track. I'm looking forward to see a lot of people there. And big shout out to Kirill. I really wanted to win today's race because this is Kirill's most favorite track. I'm sorry for the P2, but I think you're happy, sir.
Well, he called it heaven on earth, and to be fair, 2 P2s today with 2 fantastic races. I think you could be very happy with that. It was a little bit of heaven for you, mixed up with some hell not getting the victories. But Adnan, congratulations on the P2, trying to extend the championship. We will look forward to seeing you at Bathurst.
Thank you.
Adnan Grozdenik there, Joe, finishing in P2. And what a P2 that was.
Yeah, he gave us plenty of fun and hopefully he had some excitement and enjoyment out of that himself. That's going to wrap us up for today. So I want to give a big thank you to the team, Craig, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And as we've been mentioning, the next race will be at Bathurst. That'll be December 2nd at 3:15 p.m. Eastern once again. Up next, the Skip Barber Sim Series will also be at VIR, just a little bit of a different layout, though. Be sure to check out all of our other broadcasts that we've got listed on the screen. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.
Turn number one, trouble for Borowski, and they scatter. Carroll made a massive chuck one to the inside. Three white train going all the way back to Felix Vipignano.
Important for the AM category.
Elijah White, Kachow, he's got the plate. Goes Adekova. Down Matt Hendel. So Adnan Montani